Okay, thanks all. Wayne is having a little visual difficulties. His screen went blank, which was quite timely. So he's working on that. But in the meantime, I've taken some notes here, and I'm going to share what I think are some good key takeaways. Great discussion. I'll say as a quick aside, I'm reading a book right now that's a history of precision engineering, and it looks at starting in the late 1700s how people who are able to, with a real precise, standardized way, start to create interchangeable manufacturing parts, create the economic revolution that took place in the 1800s. And I think there's actually a similar opportunity here, maybe not the same scale. If you can have these interchangeable data products, you can really unleash a lot of consumption and innovation across corporate America and across global 1,000 companies. So there's a lot of opportunity here. So some of the takeaways: data products are more than data assets. I think Wayne's made a great case from this, and some of these first notes are from his keynote. Some of the key attributes: they're reusable, they're shared, continuously funded. You've got target users and rigorous data governance. They might be data sets, they might be code, fully baked applications. The answer is yes to all that. It really needs a data market, such as a catalog of data products. And this is a way that you can unlock the value with frictionless data sharing. I thought Wayne did a great job articulating what we mean by data product platform. You'll have a product studio, you'll have this repository of data products. It'll sit on top of a data fabric in terms of infrastructure. And you need the ability to build, buy, mix, or match data products. That gets to a lot of the interchangeability and reusability that was a consistent theme throughout this. And in terms of my economic example from the 1700s, unleashes a lot of productivity gains over time. A lot of data products will be virtual. That makes perfect sense. You can have pointers to different data elements that are stored in different parts of a distributed architecture. That's a reality of today's world. Many enterprises are hybrid and/or multi-cloud. So Wayne, I'm going to pause and see if you have any other thoughts in terms of what I've walked through here. I think you can hear but not see some of these takeaways. And now Wayne might be rebooting. Why don't I continue here? There are different segments, market segments, that are getting into this space: data commerce, data integration companies, catalogs, analytics platforms, and master data management. We talked about master data management. They're all moving into the data product platform space. The role of the data product manager is part product manager, part owner, part marketer. And the data product organization can be centralized or decentralized. There are pros and cons to each. Wayne, do I hear that you've joined us?
Yeah, I am here, and I'm not sure why my computer just decided to cop out, but I'm back.
Sounds great. Wayne, feel free to chime in on any of this. I'm not sure if you're able to see my slide.
No, I can see it. Which one are you on?
I'm on slide 1 here.
Oh, you're doing all of them at once. Okay.
Yep. So data product governance requires careful organizational structures and workflows. You need a review process, an approval process, oversight, and standards. And Wayne, I thought you did a good job kind of walking through the workflows that are involved there.
Yeah, and to Anthony's point, that in response to a question we had from the audience, isn't this just product management applied to data products? And yes, it's what Anthony and Rick do every day, because they're essentially running product organizations. It's just now we're bringing this into the world of data.
Very true. Okay, good. So I thought Mike Ross gave a great presentation. I love how he talked about, and Wayne, you prompted him on this: testable, usable, and lovable. Lovable. It's a great and important adjective that is not used enough in the context of data. And I like how he talked about how some of these data product managers have specific product management experience. So they understand the discipline of product management. Now they're applying it to the domain of data. This is paired with a product council, which has senior executives throughout the company, and they're helping go to the consumption side and actually drive conversations with outside users. Wayne, you talked about the journey from query to Excel file to application that's continuously used. That's not a bad maturity life cycle for a data product. And what's interesting about Mike, and we talked about it in the wrap up there as well, they've even started to retire one or more data products, which is a critical step. We all know that you have to be willing to cut the cord, or you just have a lot of technical debt piling up.
Yeah, that's interesting about Mike Ross's case study is that it's, from a analytics perspective, it's really not very sophisticated. In fact, some people might look their nose down the fact that they're just generating Excel reports. But it just goes to show you, you don't have need the fanciest technology to have real business impact, which I think he made a good case that they're having, right? That these products that they're generating are actually of high value to the organization, because their product council reviews them and prioritize which ones to do. They're leveraging their resources effectively, and they're actually being used to make real product decisions. So even though it's Excel-based reports, hey, it's working.
And we all know that our industry is rife with over-engineered, unusable or unused products. So agree completely. I also talked about, I liked how, I think it was Mike, was talking about how you could have products that, data products that have been overlooked in the business. And if you can unearth that, actually, no, this was in Rick Hall's section. There are gems of wisdom to be had. And if you can find those and shine a bright light, you can give a lot of value to the data consumers.
Hey, Kevin, before you go on, I'd like to encourage our audience to send in their questions or comments. You guys are part of this wrap up as well, and we'll bring them in.
Yeah, that'd be great. And Wayne, if you can, that'd be great. I can't see their comments right now, but would love to have that contributed. So with Anupam, takeaways I had was that MDM is not a bad place to start. You can have data products that derive from these MDM golden records. Anupam talked about some of the barriers as well. High data volumes, determining who owns these products, and then cross-functional processes for standardizing. None of those are surprising, but it did sort of underscore something that Anthony talked about as well, which is that the data engineers can't keep up. Data teams can't keep up. That's certainly a theme we see in all disciplines of data management right now. We hope AI, generative AI, and other things can improve productivity.
Well, it was so interesting. We really didn't plan it, as I said, to have Tamer and Coginity as sponsors of the event, but they're both kind of at that same level, delivering these foundational data products that you need to build any other data product. Maybe this is the first of many events on data products. So we're covering the foundational stuff today, but it will be interesting to see if those two can actually come together and do some kind of a formal linkage between the two products, right? Or maybe it's like Coginity and resells or embeds Tamer to enable their customers to generate those golden records that they can associate with their SQL code, right?
Wayne, we'll see if we can play midway for future sponsors as well.
Yeah.
It's an interesting plot twist for these sessions for the audience. It's good. So Rick, great session, and agree completely with what he's talking about with data leaders citing serious issues with data quality and reusability. That echoes again and again what we've seen anecdotally and with surveys. And it's no surprise that this is one of the contributors to the extensive turnover among chief data and analytics officers. Randy Bean and others talked about that at the CDO IQ event in Boston earlier this year. So I like these 4 principles, and I won't list each of them or go into too much detail. I will say that the notion of quality granular data that might otherwise be overlooked. I really liked how Rick highlighted that. And the notion of granular data is important. I talked about precision engineering as a sort of a model to apply to this. The more you can be very, very specific and accurate and repeatable with these modular building blocks that we're calling data products, the better, because you need to reduce misuse and you need to minimize risk of mishandling that stuff. So quality granular data
Yeah.
sets are critical.
Data products, right? Granular data
Correct.
products, I think.
Yeah.
So, Rick is all about empowering the power user, really. He basically generally sells SQL tools or tools that enable power users to generate SQL much more efficiently and effectively. And within the last year or two, he's released this, I forgot what he called, analytical repository. So bullet number 4 here, to me, is the most important, because I've seen companies, they empower their power users and then all chaos breaks loose because they're just building whatever and nothing adds up and everything conflicts and blah, blah, blah. But if you can basically take their output, review it, select the ones you want to standardize your organization on, store it in a repository, and then say, if you're going to use that calculation, you have to use the standard one in the repository, which is what foster collaboration and reuse is all about. Then you get the best of both worlds. You get empowerment and standardization. And that's ultimately what you want. That's governed self-service at its best.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so we can go to the final slide here. Anthony, very interesting session. Some of the key attributes that he's defining for data products are ready for consumption, high quality, trustworthy, accessible, and very much focused on helping solve business problems, which gets to a point he and others made of starting at the consumption side, starting at the business value side in terms of determining what it is you want to build and manage. It's best if these are clean, standardized, have many attributes. He talked about consistent customer views. Agree with the notion, as I said before, that data teams can't keep up. And ideally, this applies to a lot of situations. AI, we hope, can unlock and break this traditional trade-off of either throwing a lot of people at a problem, which doesn't scale in terms of cost, or just locking down future changes. If you can have data sets that iterate, but in a governed way with the assistance of AI, you can ideally support scalability, innovation, but maintain consistency and governance.
Yeah, so Tamar's been out there for a while, and it's
Yeah.
always played in the entity resolution marketplace, right? And it was the first one really to bring AI to bear on this. So, which means that you can throw at huge volumes of data from multiple systems, and its AI will churn through them all and basically identify like records, aka duplicates, and standard. And it actually doesn't manipulate those records. It just says, hey, this record from system A, that record from system B, this other record from system C, they're all the same person or the same company or the same product, right? So we'll create a link or an ID that links them all. And then you can do what you want with that, right? And they also do create a golden record out of that. So they create a registry of related records, and then through a manual process, people will then decide which of the fields in each of those records they want to keep and put into a golden record. So that entity resolution has been out there for a while. Their use of AI has been out there for a while. But what's interesting is that they've recognized that, you can't really build data products without this. And I think he's right. and everything that you build requires this clean, consistent master data or reference data. So any calculations that Rick's customers will do require this, right? So you can't really start until you solve this problem. So I hadn't thought about, this type of tool being so fundamental to data products, but I think Anthony has persuaded me that they are. I'd love to hear what other people think too.
I loved Anthony's comment that he's never met anyone who's excited to be on an MDM team, but perhaps they should, because it's enabler of everything that comes after. It's like brushing your teeth. You really know you need to do it. You don't particularly want to, but the state
you got to add that to this list here, because that was a classic comment, and it's so true, and goes to the state of MDM today. We just need it to be more lightweight, and maybe not try to boil the ocean. And so tools like this are a good way to get something done fast for a specific project, right? Let's master the data related to this project, and go from there. You don't have to create this huge meta model of master data and do bi-directional synchronization, which
the
takes
minimal
years.
viable product is critical.
Yeah.
Great. So expert panel, we talked about some of the themes here, but also had some additional stuff, and Wayne, you might have more. Data governance is not purely centralized or top down. Rick talked about that, and I think everyone agreed that there's a need to have, Wayne, you've written a lot about governed self-service, and I think that model can apply here in the sense that you want to empower edge use cases, edge consumption, and so forth, while still maintaining some level of governance. There was a theme, of course, of talking about consumption rather than production. And we talked about data mesh and the pillars there, in addition to data products that matter. Data product ownership matters, and putting that as close to the source as possible, Rick said, is a fundamental element of the data mesh from Zamokhtagani that applies here.
Everybody got on their soapbox for that one. I think the data mesh brings out the real passion in people.
I think it does. It invokes religious feelings on all sides. And Wayne, I think that you talked about the federated model, and you need central elements as well as distributed. I simplified that a little bit here. Are there other points you want to make about the notion of having a federated approach?
Well, yeah, I just see it all over the place. No matter what you're trying to organize, you can't completely centralize it, and you can't completely decentralize it, because you run into problems when you go too far in one direction, right or left. You're going to run into huge problems. And when you run into those problems, the natural reaction, human reaction, is to say, oh, let's get away from that. And so we're going to go the other direction. So you bumped into the problems with the, going down the right side, and then we're going to go all the way to the left, and we'll bump into those problems. So a federated model says, don't swing back and forth between extremes. It's kind of like our political situation today. It's either one or the other. What we really need is both at the same time, that are aligned and cooperating and working things out. And it's funny, when you actually take those opposites and you pull them together, which creates a lot of tension, that's what generates innovative solutions. And I see that organizationally, I see that technically in terms of architectures, and I think I even see that politically, if you want to get real esoteric about things.
Agreed completely. And so the final point here was the question posed by an apt user, which is, what's the program and metric to evaluate the value of these data products, the economic potential of them? And we talked about starting downstream. The output and what the consumer is going to do with it certainly fits with a familiar theme of technology, which is to remind ourselves against our engineering impulses to start with business problems to solve, business use cases, to work back from there.
I probably should have mentioned there's a new book out by a good friend, Barbara Wixom, called Data is Everybody's Business. Can we see that? Not quite.
Yeah, okay.
And it's kind of all about how to ascertain the value of data in a very practical way. So it's data is everybody's business, the fundamentals of data monetization. And by that, she means not actually selling data necessarily. It means all data has value, and you just have to deliver that and calculate it. So, highly recommend
That's
it.
great.
Yeah.
That's great, and it brings to mind the blog that our own Jay Piscineri just published about the need for data citizenship, which is that, with another political analogy, just as you need informed voters in a democratic system, you need informed people to be either requesting data or using it. And so there's a real need for data literacy. So it is everyone's business, and there's also, I think, a certain responsibility for people to be smart consumers, smart, informed consumers of data. So Wayne, what other things did I miss here? I thought it was a great discussion. I certainly learned a lot.
Oh, you captured quite a bit there, Kevin. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head
Okay.
other than 6 months. We expect those two companies to announce a partnership of some sort. So.
Very good. Okay, well, Wayne, I'll stop sharing, and sounds like we can wrap up at this point.
Wrap up the wrap up.
Wrap up the wrap up.
Yeah, fair enough. So thank you, Kevin, for moderating, and thanks everyone in the audience for listening and contributing questions and comments. We'll be back when, Kevin, for your gig?
We will be back March, and we're going to have, well, I've got a couple notes here. So next week, we'll send out an event summary report. It'll have a summary of the event, links to videos and slides, and our key takeaways. I know from LinkedIn, there are some folks who, like me, couldn't make the live event. That's often the case. I'm often reviewing the videos for these things over the weekends. Next month, we're going to send you, Wayne's going to send you a market landscape report on how to create, govern, and manage data products. So these are great. You can see some samples of what we've done in the past. They're rich, digital, multimedia reports. They've got videos, graphics, text from the event, and it's a great multimedia immersive experience. So while you're there, you can browse our digital reports from other events, including data governance, data observability, data sharing in marketplaces, modern data pipelines, catalogs. We've got quite a repository there. And the final point here is that we've got a CDO TechVent in March on driving data management and analytics with generative AI. Wayne, I think you have a slide for that we could probably pop up here. So this is driving data management and analytics with generative AI, practices and products you need to know. I'll be delivering the keynote. Very excited about this. It'll be held on March 21st. So I hope you all can join us. And I think that's it.
I'm about to show your slide, Kevin. Okay.
Building great suspense. There we go.
Yeah, and here was the market landscape report and the event summary report you'll get next week. Market landscape report will take about a month. So.
Fantastic.
All
right. Thanks again, everyone. We'll see you in 3 months.